everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into what might be the most intimidating chapter in the entire Bible, Psalm 119. I know, at 176 verses, it seems like a real marathon. But what if we looked at it differently? What if we saw it as one of the most passionate and intricate confessions of love ever written? So, what does a 176-verse love letter to God's Word actually look like? Well, it looks a whole lot like Psalm 119. Seriously, this isn't just some long, rambling text. It is a meticulously structured, deeply emotional outpouring of devotion, and we're about to see just how all these pieces fit together. So first up, let's just appreciate the sheer scale and frankly the brilliant structure of this psalm. Its incredible length isn't just a random detail, it's actually part of the message itself. It's meant to communicate a love that just keeps on going. 176 verses. Every single one is dedicated to celebrating the beauty, the wisdom, the perfection of God's Word. But, the length is really only half the story. The way it's organized, that's where the true artistry just shines right through. And the number 22, that is the absolute key to unlocking this whole thing. The entire psalm is a masterfully crafted acrostic poem, and it's built completely around the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Yeah, you heard that right. The first 8 verses all start with the first letter, Aleph. The next 8 verses start with the second letter, Bet, and it just keeps going like that all the way through the alphabet to the very last letter, Tav. Now, this is way more than just a clever poetic trick. It's a profound act of devotion. It's like the psalmist is saying, my love for your word covers everything, from A to Z, or, from Aleph to Tav. The very structure is a testament to his love. This love is so huge, so all-encompassing, that one single word for God's instruction just isn't enough. So the psalmist uses this incredibly rich and varied vocabulary to describe all the different facets of God's truth, giving it many, many names. So get this, the psalmist uses at least 8 different synonyms for God's word. You have law, which is kind of the general term for God's truth. Then you've got testimonies, which are more specific, like the 10 Commandments. And then promise, which points to a future that God will absolutely fulfill. This isn't just mindless repetition. It's a way of exploring and adoring God's truth from every single angle you can imagine. Now, this next part, it might be one of the most stunning themes in the entire psalm. It's this powerful paradox, the idea that suffering can actually be a benefit. It sounds completely backwards, I know, but for the psalmist, it was a crucial part of his spiritual journey. Wow, there is just such a raw honesty here. The psalmist straight up admits he was on the wrong path, and it was affliction, real hardship, that brought him back. He doesn't just put up with his suffering, he finds purpose in it. In this incredibly profound way, his pain actually became his teacher. And when you see it side by side like this, the transformation is just crystal clear. Before the hardship, he was lost. Afterwards, he finds obedience, he finds understanding. It's almost like the suffering carved out a space in his heart to really learn God's decrees in a way he just couldn't before. So the bottom line here is that while nobody, and I mean nobody, asks for suffering, it can forge a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. It's so often in our struggles, not in our successes, that we really learn what it means to lean on his faithfulness. Okay, so from suffering, we turn now to guidance. This psalm gives us one of the most famous images in the entire Bible for how God's word leads us through what can often feel like a very dark world. Yeah, I'm willing to bet we've all heard this verse before. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it's comforting. But to really, really get what it means, we need to understand what a lamp was actually like back in the ancient world. See, this wasn't some modern LED floodlight showing you the entire journey ahead. Nope, it was a small, probably handheld oil lamp. It only gave off enough light to see the very next step you were about to take. So the metaphor is suggesting that God's word gives us clarity for right now, for this moment, for this next step. It encourages a daily, step-by-step trust rather than revealing some grand roadmap of the future. All right, now we get to the peak. The psalmist's declaration of what really matters reaches its climax when he compares God's word to the most prized substance on earth, and he finds that even pure gold falls short. I mean, just think about it for a second. Everything we build, everything we value, every earthly system of security we create, it all has a limit. It has a beginning and it has an end. The psalmist sees this fundamental truth about the world.
This is such a powerful statement because it's about ultimate worth. He's basically saying that God's commands offer a kind of security and value that surpasses even the purest gold. It's something truly timeless in a world where pretty much everything else just fades away.
So why are they limitless? Well, it's because their source is God, who is infinite. Unlike a bar of gold, you can never, ever exhaust the wisdom of God's word. There is always more to discover, always more to learn, always more depth to explore. It is a truly endless treasure. And then, right at the very end, the psalm takes this surprising turn. After 175 verses of these powerful declarations and soaring praises, it doesn't end with a big shout of triumph. It ends with a humble, quiet whisper of vulnerability. And honestly, this shift in tone is what makes the whole psalm feel so real, so profoundly human. The writer has spent all this time celebrating his total commitment to God's law, but he knows himself, he knows his own nature, and he knows he still needs help. What an ending. I have strayed like a lost sheep. Even with all of this deep, abiding love for God's word, he admits he still gets lost. His final act isn't to declare his own strength, but to ask his shepherd to come and find him. And this just perfectly captures the central tension of a life of faith, doesn't it? He loves God's law. He hasn't forgotten it, not for a second, but he recognizes his own human weakness means he's still going to wander. So his ultimate hope isn't in his ability to follow the path perfectly. It's in the shepherd's grace to come find him when he inevitably strays. And that really brings it all home. The psalmist, even in his deepest devotion, knew he was prone to wander. His final hope was in being found. And so it leaves us with a pretty important question for ourselves. In our own wanderings, how do we listen for the shepherd's voice calling us back home?